The new spiritual you is what I'm going to be talking about in this video. And what in the world is happening to me is the same question, just the opposite side of the coin. Hi, my name is Nancy, and my website is Intuitive Mind, and I've been working as a professional psychic for 25 years now. But one of my superpowers is my ability to see into the spiritual world at the same time I can see the physical world. And in 25 years, I've learned how to do those steps and kind of keep my head about me and kind of normalize it. So in these videos that I'm making, I like to share what I'm seeing is happening out there. And one of the big things is you are becoming spiritually and physically and emotionally and mentally a new you. And it's probably leaving you wondering, what the heck is happening to me? As you find yourself, you're physically changing, you're emotionally and mentally changing how you respond to the world. So I'm going to kind of go through some of the step-by-step things that I'm noticing and see if you can relate to it. And as I always say, this is the time where you are awakening in your intuition, in your intuitive instincts, and your intuition is getting much more accurate, much more precise. And you're starting to notice that not only are you becoming more intuitive, but the way that you are seeing the world is changing too. So let me start off with kind of the why. Why is this happening? So if you've been following any of the spiritual aspects that I've been talking about over the last several years, our physical body, our human body, it is a energetic field. So I always like to stress that. I'm a nurse, so I always like to include the body in everything that we do. So your human body is made up of energy. It's just that its vibrational frequency is a little bit slower so that it can appear as matter. It can appear as solid form. Your spirit is higher self resides at the fifth dimension part of your spirit. We are multidimensional beings, so you actually express yourself through many dimensions, but we're going to focus on the third and the fifth dimension in this video. So your higher self resides in the fifth dimension, which is a much higher frequency, and so it's invisible to the naked eye. However, as the frequency of the earth is expanding and our atmosphere is expanding and the universe is expanding during this great time of change on the earth, don't be surprised when you say, what the heck is happening to me? That you are starting to be able to maybe see auras around things, that your telepathy, your ability to communicate mind to mind is starting to increase. The way that you move through the world, and again, as I said, the way that you respond to the world is changing. So we are in that third and fifth dimensional realms, and we're really learning how to work as a good team together between your body and your spirit. So right now, what's happening to the earth is we are being flooded with this high vibrational photonic frequency. You've heard, quantum physics talk about this, the quantum reality. When you're talking about the quantum energies and frequencies, if you do a lot of reading about it, and there's some great books out there, that you can influence the frequency and the movement of energy around you just with your thoughts. So you'll hear me talk about, you have the negative thoughts, that's going to influence the frequency of the energy around you with a negative type frequency that's going to be a little slower, heavier, and denser frequency. And then if you have more, I would say positive thoughts, but not Pollyannish thoughts, not kind of fake nice kind of thoughts, but just these higher ways of thinking, such as offering grace and mercy or forgiveness or gratitude is a really great frequency, and love. So those are higher frequencies. So your body's going through this rapid change, whether you meditate or not, whether you read spiritual books or not, whether you do yoga or not. Everyone on this earth is being influenced by the frequencies that are coming to the earth. So right now we have these enormous floods of frequencies that are coming in, this photonic light that's infusing your aura and infusing your physical body. Because remember I said your physical body is also made up of energy. So even everything that you drink, anything that you eat, any person that you are in a relationship with, all of those frequencies impact you and your development. But what's kind of happening is a type of soul retrieval. If you've not heard that term before, that your soul, your spirit can be fractured just simply by maybe compromising yourself, where your soul, your spirit is kind of pulling you and calling you in a certain direction, but it's like, oh no, I can't do that. My friends would make fun of me, or my husband or wife would get upset, if I changed jobs to follow my dreams. That you might compromise yourself. No, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't want to offend anyone. So all of those things can cause you to your spirit to kind of fracture. Or often, this is something that's really common, is that who are you in your outer world versus who are you when you go into your home and close the door and shut the world out? Do you feel like you can be a different person? Like, are you really conservative on the outside, but once you go home, you crank the music up really high and you just start dancing around your living room, and maybe you even dance around naked, but you would never go out in public naked, of course. And so these are the ways that you can kind of fracture your energy or compromise your spirit. However, there are other ways that your spirit and soul can kind of get disconnected from you. And this is definitely not a video on soul retrievals. I'll make another one in the future, but it just to explain how maybe you can have a traumatic car accident where you got really injured. You can literally leave part of your energy field can get fractured, part of your spirit can fracture, split off, and it can remain at the site where the car accident happened. Or maybe there was an event where you were hurt or harmed, and there was a part of you that fractured and kind of moved away from the harm, and part of your spirit remained there. So what's happening now is that as we are getting these higher frequencies of light coming into our body, all those little bits of yourself that may be scattered around are starting to collect. They're starting to magnetically be drawn back to the core of your being. They're naturally coming back together. Imagine a box of puzzle pieces that you've just dropped all over the floor. They're scattered. Maybe one rolled and is underneath the couch. Maybe the dog picked up one and ran upstairs and put it in their dog crate or the dog bed. That's kind of what can happen to our energy field. So right now, you are becoming a new you, but you're kind of an old you, but a new you, because all your bits are starting to collect together again, and your whole frequency, spiritual frequency, is starting to rise. Now, what happens when you have fractured bits that are coming together again? Let's say that you have an event that happened to you when you were 6 years old, and that fractured piece is still back when you were 6, but now you're 42 years old, and now as this photonic light is coming in, that little piece that's maybe left in a house that you used to live in or apartment when you were 6 is starting to vibrate, and then slowly as your vibration comes up, it comes together. However, that 6-year-old piece doesn't realize that you've graduated from high school and from college, and it doesn't realize that you're now working as a nurse, or maybe you're an interior designer, or uh, uh, maybe you're a dental hygienist. Like that 6-year-old part of you doesn't know that you've grown and changed, and so it needs a little bit of time to kind of catch up with you. So as all these little bits are coming together, it's like you're starting to get to know yourself better than you ever have in your entire life. And you might be left wondering when you say, what the heck's happening to me? It's like, wow, I didn't think like this before. I didn't feel like this before. Apologies for if you're hearing the car in the background. So as the bits are coming together, it's going to illuminate more of your personality, and more of your personality is going to start coming out. However, the other thing is about these little bits that may be scattered about throughout your life. Those little scattered bits have a personality too. So maybe you've never liked mushrooms, and now all of a sudden this little scattered bit comes back, and that little scattered bit was the part that loved mushrooms, and suddenly you're like, oh my gosh, I love all kinds of mushrooms and I've hated them my whole life. What the heck is happening to me? So, or that part of your personality that's coming back, maybe that part loved to sing, but you never felt like you could carry a tune, and now suddenly you find yourself singing all the time. Or maybe you didn't feel like you had much rhythm, but that part that's coming back to you suddenly loves to go dancing. So these are the things that I'm talking about. The new spiritual you is emerging. And whether you've done a lot of spiritual development or zero spiritual development, you are still changing, growing, illuminating, expanding, and awakening in these new higher dimensional frequencies. And as that's happening, your personality, everything's coming together. So what do I mean by physical changes? So yeah, your body, every cell of your body, as more of your spiritual light comes in and your cells get illuminated, absolutely, they can start to raise in frequency and your body can shift and change. What I'm seeing a lot right now is the actual skin is actually glowing. I'm starting to see this illuminating light coming out of the skin of people, almost like this iridescent light. And so people may say to you, wow, you look really different. Have you done anything different? And it's like, no, I haven't done anything different. So that can be happening. Or you can have chronic illness that you've had, or you've had a pain in your body, and those can start to kind of self-resolve. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but if you notice that it's happening, it may be this frequency is elevating and your body is able to start healing itself. Now, emotionally, your emotional chakra is located below the navel area. This is a spiritual library filled with information to help your spirit be able to express through your body. Now, if you've had energy blocks there, or let's say that part of your spirit was not in that emotional chakra, as your spirit starts to move into that emotional chakra, you may start to notice some emotional stability. Now, what can that look like? What it can look like is 6 months ago, you maybe had your teenage son or daughter come in and say something that would have normally really triggered you, and then suddenly you're like, okay, well, what's your plan? What do you plan on doing about that? And you just kind of have this casual conversation, and then afterwards they're walking away going, whoa, what just happened to mom or dad? And you're going, oh my God, what just happened to me? Normally I would have just blown my top around this. You are becoming a new spiritual you. That even your emotional frequency is starting to change. Maybe you have really felt depressed, or you've had to really function within a narrow range of your life so you don't get triggered. And now you're finding you've got a stronger, more resilient emotional bandwidth to draw from. And often what's happening here is that you might say, well, that was a fluke, or I must be disconnected from my emotions today. But then you're finding the same type of event happens over and over again, and you're being more emotionally stable. Yes, you can expect to see this over the next few years, that this new spiritual you is coming together. You're not changing, you're just fine. All your bits are coming together. All right, mentally, the same thing. Your sixth chakra feeds the light from your spirit. Your spirit comes in, it illuminates on the pineal. The pineal then illuminates so that you can see clearly through all aspects of your life. It's also your intuitive chakra. It's also the chakra where you can see the truth. Remember, we've been going through this phase in life where illusion is falling away and truth is illuminating. This is what's happening to you, the new spiritual you, is that what hasn't been truth, maybe it was a truth that you adopted from someone else, that you're shedding, and you, the real you, the true you, is coming to the surface and is more easily expressed. What I'm hearing from people that they're saying right now, it's like, oh my gosh, I never would have thought of that. But today it seems crystal clear. It's like, why couldn't I see this 2 weeks ago or 2 months ago? Why am I just seeing this now? And what the spirit realm is saying, because you were not able to see it before, you weren't of the right frequency to be able to see it before. So imagine I'm wearing glasses. If I'm not wearing my glasses, things are pretty foggy, things are not in focus. So it's almost like spiritual glasses are coming, or a magnifying glass. You can't see this tiny little lettering. Can you believe this? I never thought that I would be saying. I remember when I was in my 20s and my grandmother couldn't see something and got the magnifying glass out, and now I'm doing that. And it's like, oh my gosh, what's happening to me? But this is spiritually what's happening is as the frequency is rising, you are being flooded with this photonic light that's coming in to expand you spiritually, raise your vibration. Everything is coming into focus. Everything is getting crystal clear. New ways of thinking, new thought, new science, new ideas are being created that, gosh, even 3 years ago, we could not have imagined it. So when you're saying, what is happening to me? That's what's happening to you. And is it going to go away? Probably not. It's here to stay, this kind of the new things that are coming into focus for you. And spiritually, spiritually you're changing as well. Because remember I said, when you're at that third dimensional realm, you're at a lower realm, maybe you're having depression, anxiety, it's kind of hard to think your way out of a brown paper bag. However, as the frequency goes up, suddenly you have a wider range of opportunities to draw from. So again, you are naturally changing. Now, before I finish up the video, I just want to talk a little bit about what are some of the things that you can look for separate from the spiritual, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, I'll say it again, changes. Some of the things that you might notice as your spiritual bits start coming back to be fully present in your life. Food. So I've already mentioned that. It's like, oh, I never liked mushrooms. Now I love mushrooms. I'm a meat eater, but suddenly I feel like I want to be a vegetarian or I want to be vegan. Or maybe you're vegetarian and vegan and suddenly you want to start eating some fish and some eggs. So you may notice those sorts of changes because the other parts of you spiritually that are coming in may hunger for some of those things or need different types of foods. When you're eating like salads and things, they are a vibration and frequency. And so often you will find yourself as your frequency goes up, you want higher frequency foods. I'm saying that you can force yourself to eat that, but you'll find yourself naturally gravitating towards wanting something fresh to eat. Activities. You may find, yeah, you've never been interested in taking a yoga class and suddenly you want to, or here you are like, I think golf looks like one of the most boring games there ever was, and now suddenly I want to start taking golf lessons. So it's those kinds of things that you're like, what is happening to me? This makes no sense. It makes total sense. It just depends on the frequency that you're looking through, the lens that you're looking through, what's coming into focus for you, and being able to see things from a higher, new spiritual perspective. Hobbies. Again, that you may find that hobbies you weren't interested in before, suddenly that interests you now. Boundaries, where suddenly it's like, oh, wait a minute, this doesn't feel very good to me, or you might not have even noticed it before. So you've got some new boundaries. Relationships and friends. You're noticing it's like, oh my gosh, I just adored this person, and now I don't feel like our frequencies are kind of jiving with each other. What's happening to me? What's wrong with me? You're becoming a new spiritual you, but they're becoming a new spiritual them as well. And so I always say, like, don't hang your hat on that hook to leave or break up in the relationship. Give everybody time to grow and change. And after the dust settles, if it still feels like it's not a relationship that's for you, then you can make some changes. But when you're in the midst of changes, I always have a saying when I work with my clients and we've moved some we've done a big healing that done, I'll say, please don't make any enormous life-changing decisions for 6 months. I will always ask them, please don't do it for 6 months. Clothing, oh my gosh, maybe you have worn the same black and white outfit. You always like everything in your closet is black and white, and suddenly you want color, and you want bright colors. You want blues and reds and oranges and greens and yellows and pinks and fuchsia, or turquoise. So you never know, or maybe suddenly you're not a hat person, but you want to be a hat person. Maybe suddenly you just wore flip-flops all the time, but now you want to start wearing high heels. So, I mean, these are real things that I'm talking about, where it's like, this is not making sense. Why suddenly I'm drawn to doing these different things? So you becoming the new spiritual you can be one of the reasons that you're noticing these things. And then like TV shows, where maybe you liked watching a certain TV show and that was the TV show you liked to watch, and now you just can't tolerate it. Why? Because your frequency is changing. And so as your frequency is going up and more of your spiritual bits, more of your soul is being retrieved, that as you're coming together more as a one unified spirit, you may notice maybe you don't even want to watch television. So just pay attention. There isn't one thing that's good and one thing that's bad, because everything is about spiritual learning. But if you are noticing that you're starting to change and you never thought you would change, that's probably the reason. It's because you're becoming a new spiritual you. So I'm excited. I'm super excited about this time that we're living in, and I hope that you are too, because there's a lot to be excited about. So again, if you like watching these videos, please click the subscribe button and the little bell so you're notified when I make a new video. And yeah, look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.